No Griganard Kaina to and no pican. It's a real honor to be invited to speak on this. It's kind of a touchy subject. I grew up around ceremonies. On my mom's side, a long line of spiritual leaders, ceremonials, medicine people, chief calves. And on my dad's side, long line of political leaders who stem from Spotted Horse. That man was a war chief back in the day. He signed the treaties with the Americans, and he signed the treaties with the British. This man had 4 names. Some of it was through transfers of bundles, and others were counting coup on the enemy, such as the last name that we have now, that eagle tail feathers. I don't know how to read, but I did my best to read, and I've only gone a few pages in this book when Chris brought it up. Very interesting. I'd like to acknowledge Kathy. Litsooahp'potah. And that's a big sack. I acknowledge my older brother and mother. And it comes to times like this, and I'm really honored to have our elders come in, and I get shy of them to speak about life. Not too bad now, I'm getting older now, so. But when I was younger and I first started running ceremonies and our elders would come in the back of my mind, I'd think to myself, the older ones are in here, and they're gonna say, they might think, what does he know about life? He's just a child. But now I'm a little bit older, so I don't feel so. I remember when I kind of did what we'd say a graduation fast in the mountains, here in Chief Mountain. Litsooahp'potah, Johnny Day Rider from Heartbeat, was one that took care of me. I was mostly under him, but I had a lot of guidance from Buster and the others. And on that graduation fast, he brought me up to that place at Chief Mountain, and he set me up. I had to go by myself. On the 3rd day of the fast, there's kind of a clearing there where he set me up was. And I was alone all this time. And on the 3rd day of that fast, it was in the morning, quite early. The sun was about in here someplace. I kind of see him come out of the woods into that clearing, came walking towards me. Geez, I was happy to see him. I've been alone for a few days and starving, no water. It was really hot. She was happy to see me. Came walking over. He came about this close. So I stood up and he points to the ground like that. To make smudge there. So I walked over, made smudge there, and I backed off. And he went over, he smudged himself, then he came over. Here he visited all day, talked about a lot of things. And it's really strange, some of the stuff that were talked about that day, today I use it. At the time I didn't need it. Over the years, and when time comes, I use what we talked about. Then the sun was way over, about ready to set. And he gets out, he says, fill your pipe. God just took up not those. So I did fill the pipe. And I offered the pipe to him. He took it, lit it, and he prayed for me. Prayed long. I still remember those words he used. Then he gave it to me and I smoked, so we both smoked. And he gets up and says, well, tomorrow, one more day of fast. And he gets up, he walks away. It's like he's thinking. And he stops and he turns back to me. And he says, The one that taught me Big Road, Sam Spotted Eagle, said, told him, Danik, your future work's going to be hard. The people are going to be mixed. He says, now I'm telling you, your future work's going to be harder. It was hard to know how to take something like that. I kind of knew what it meant, but I didn't realize it was going to be this hard. It's really difficult today. So as you come off the mountain, ran the sweat for me. During the opening round, after they opened the door, he says, the Holy One said that they picked a lot of young people, young men, young women. Few will make it. Very few of us will make it. And like I said, I was one of them. The one that was ahead of me, he was ahead of me. And so the reason why they pick us younger, usually that role, I guess you'll say, is usually for an older person. I'd say somebody in late 40s, early 50s, around that time, when their life has stabilized and things are got more mature. That's when people are gifted in certain ways. But they picked us younger at that time. And I was only in my early 30s, 33, 34 years old, something like that at the time. It says, so these ways will stay among the people that much longer. This particular ceremony, that sweat lodge that we're sitting in, was very unique. There's not many of them, very few of them. The bundles that you folks we hear about all the time, all those bundles. I call them hereditarial bundles. They're handed down from one generation to the next. Those are a little different. The bundle that we carry, that I carry, is a personal bundle. It's an old word that we use. It's called ayakinat. That is what I do is what it's in our language. Ayakinapia. And these cannot be transferred. If anybody wanted to pursue something like that, they have to earn their own. A lot of fasting. Oh man. But anyway. So at this ceremony, Johnny talks like that. Then he says, at the end of the ceremony, last round, he says, these ways that we're sitting in right now, we don't know if it's going to continue into the future. Yeah. I was visiting with my brother, Gayotokan, one time, and he brought it up. He says, Litsooahp'potah, I don't know who am I going to teach? Who's going to take over this particular way? We're gifted similar. And same thing with me. Young people start coming to ceremony. They start out really good. Then they falter. I don't know. And it always brings me back to that day over 20, maybe 30 years ago when Litsooahp'potah said that he doesn't know if these ways are going to go on into the future. The bundles, yeah, they'll go on. but this particular way. Piukan, Hatsisik, Ayakinapi, if that's going to carry on. And he mentioned, he says, in the future generations might just read about us in books. So Mr. Xomaka brought this up to me and he explained to me what he wanted to do. And he said, if we get accepted at this conference here, that's what you want to talk about. So this is something. I never thought in my wildest dreams I would be sitting in a space like this talking about what I'm talking about. I started hearing about these things as a child growing up around the old people. I was very fortunate. Being the youngest in the family, my dad would invite these old people up to the house. And I was just a child, and I'd sit there and listen to them tell their stories. Before the horse came, spiritual warfares, mysteries, murders, they covered all that stuff. See, and I just really enjoyed listening to them old people. Some they'll do reenactments. They'll stand up. I remember this old guy stood up. He's cane, and he's drumming on the back side of the couch, and he's singing. They got to this certain point on that certain hill when they knew they were getting close to the enemy. They sang their songs before they snuck into camp. And he sang this song, and it was really, I'm thinking, at that moment, at that time, it was so natural. But now, thinking back on it, that was a very special moment. I never thought I'd see the day we'd be sitting in a room like this, sharing this, these kind of stories. When I was a kid growing up, there was some really special things happened to me. I didn't seek or wanted to do what I do today. I didn't ask for it. When I was a kid growing up, some really strange things happened. Lucky, not so much my dad. My dad was very respectful to spirituality. He grew up in it. Dad's name is Itomina. Itomina Mahka, his first gun. His dad, Aksana Mahka, takes a gun in a good way. Was with our Horn Society back in them times, 30s, 40s, that time period. So my dad was very respectful to spirituality, and he wouldn't talk about it, like Chris was saying. You don't talk about ceremonies and like this. But my mom was quite different. So when these strange events were taking place with me as a child, my mom knew, and my grandparents knew. If it were here today and now, they'd probably put me in a mental institution. Because people don't understand it. Back in the day, the governments and missionaries, when a gifted child was expressing certain spiritual gifts that we're born with, they put them in institutions. I think asylums, what they call them back in the day. Yeah. They're a threat. A threat to the not be quick in some way. But for me, I was very fortunate to have parents that I did, especially my mom. I'll give you one quick example. The old man has crowds across the coulee. It was springtime like this, and a spring storm was coming. He was chasing me home. They were repairing the corral. And I didn't want to go, of course, so I started walking real slow. It's kind of a long slope, then a steep hill up to the house. So when I got to the bottom of the coulee, that storm hit. Storm is called, we call it kasinik. It's like little hail balls or stone balls, just in the wind. See, they just sting your face. Anyway, so I started going up this hill, the trail, and I had two resting spots. There's a rock and then a hole. Those are my resting spots. So when I got to that, my first resting spot was a rock sticking out of the ground. Next thing, a light appeared above me. And the snow and the wind wasn't hitting me anymore. It's just a light that went right around me. To this day, I should have looked up, but I didn't. Damn. I was really amazed. I was looking on the ground, this white light. I stood there looking, I started walking out, and that light followed me to my second resting spot. Then I got close to the gate and went away so quick that the wind took my breath. I couldn't breathe at the, it's chimneys. I kind of know how to say it in English. But anyway, so I ran inside and I told my mom. And she said, the Holy Ones, the sky people shone the light down on you. Ah. And I was like maybe 8 years old at the time. So anyways, had some weird experiences. My mom would tell me go see certain elders at the time. And I would. And some of the things that these elders, the vision or the dream I had, they wouldn't know how to answer me, so they just pray for me. And later, under peer pressure out of cousins of mine, because during the holidays, Christmas around that time when I was 19, is the first drink. And when I drank that time, all that stopped. It was weird. But I didn't notice it right away till a little while, a couple years. So about 19, by the time I was 24, I quit again. And a really tragic thing happened in my life. I was very spoiled. I had two mothers, my mom and my auntie mom, my dad's sister. She passed. And that's when my parents really took pity on me. My parents used to come down to Sam's Spotted Eagle. Then when Sam passed, they stopped going to those ceremonies. Anyways, so that time they brought me to Nina, Buster Yellow Kidney. That's when I first met him. And that day I met him was a Sunday in the fall time. I went through his ceremony, changed my life. That experience I had in that man's sweat lodge changed my life. And little did I know that I'll be running ceremonies similar to what he ran. And I kept coming back. So then I met the others. And one of the things Buster told me, he says, I had a dream, weird vision. So through ceremony, he explained parts of it. Then he looks at me really stern like, he says, here's your vision. This much has come true. Try hard enough. All the rest might come true. Where you're walking, there's a light. You're walking to this light, bright light. So I just kept going. And I turned Sundance, piercing Sundance, Morris Crow. Little did I know I'll be running Sundance like that myself. Buster brought that Sundance here. I was going to switch to him, but then Buster told me, no, you stay where you're at. I don't know why he said that, but now today I know why. But at the time I didn't know. Morris Crow started his piercing Sundance first, then here. I think Morris was 2 years before Buster brought this one. So I went through all that. Did a lot of fasts. About 8 fasts a year in the beginning. First 4 years. Just around the sweats at home, Sundance. And I got put up a sweat for me. Each Sokitupi put up a sweat for me. From the time he said that, first he set the pipe. I waited 2 years before I accepted it. Then another 2 years before I accepted the sweat. So I started fasting around that. Then I started going into the mountains. I started at Belly Buttes. I went there 7 times over there. He called me Litsooahp'potah. Come in. Come in, Tom. I was just starting to talk about you.
Yeah.
Oh, good to see you, Tom. Yeah, so yeah, I went there 7 times. And it wasn't like, I'm going to go fast. It was through the vision, and I'd sit with these old guys, the older men, and they would guide me. Well, you have to do this, this, and this. So I do whatever they say. So I was very disciplined. Sometimes I didn't argue and I didn't question. So I started fasting there. Then I went up to Chief Mountain. And Chief Mountain, been there like 8 times over those years. And most times nothing happened. I had no dream, nothing, just suffered up there. Really, snow, rain, wind, oh man. Then when the things did happen, it was pretty freaky, scary. Scared the hell out of me, no kidding. I thought I was gonna die up there. Yeah, my heart was pounding. I couldn't move, my leg was twitching like this, because I was lying on my side. Wanting to jump up and take off, I guess. I don't know what I was gonna do, but yeah, it was really, really, really frightening. I thought getting captured and being brought to the center pole to get pierced, I thought that was scary. But that experience up there was way more scarier than getting pierced. Yeah. But I didn't. I stayed. 2 reasons actually why I stayed put. One, it was through the vision. I did not ask to go to those places. I did not ask anything from Creator and His messengers. I asked one thing from them. It was for my kids to grow up, to become adults and lead their own lives. And they did. They led their own lives. And I lost 3 of them in the past few years. 3 of my daughters, I lost them to addictions. But what I asked for came true. They became adults and led their own lives. Now, I should have said for them to grow old. Maybe I did, but I don't remember saying that. But these things, what they talk about in that book and what Chris shared with me about this book, a person might think, a long time ago. Can't be today. You're wrong. Can happen today. These sacred mountains that we have and sacred hills, we've been down there. I know Litsooahp'potah's been there, and some of these other men have been there. Sweetgrass Hills. I've only been to the East Butte. And each of these places, I received a gift from them. And when I said nothing happened at times in these, what they say, vision quest, when I thought nothing happened, something did happen. They had to make my mind strong and my heart strong. Whatever it was that was in store for me was so strong, so sacred that I have to be physically and mentally and spiritually strong enough to take that gift. And these gifts are very, a person might say, oh, he got a gift. But it's quite the opposite. They took me. I was visiting with Nina one time, Buster, and he was at a conference. A lot of people. After he finished talking, one of these people asked Buster, he opened it for questions. There was one person asked Buster, "Are you a pipe carrier?" And Buster, with a stern look, he looks like that guy. Look like he can look right through you. He looked at this person really stern and said, "No, I'm not a pipe carrier." And the people that knew him were just, huh? And says, "The pipe carries me." Yeah. And it's so true. So this is why we have to be, for myself, speaking for myself, I have to be mentally, physically, and spiritually strong to handle these very precious gifts, if you want to put it that way. But we're just a carrier for messengers. Yeah. Yeah. And these ones that get these bundles, sacred bundles, I wonder, there's a difference. There's a bummux, a transfer of bummux. Chris will have a bundle, and I'll approach him and go for a transfer ceremony, exchange gifts. I give him a bunch of gifts, and I take the bundle. I'm not saying that's wrong or bad or anything. That's really good, very sacred. But this way, we paid with our lives. We put our life on risk up there. The encounter I had with that bear, I thought he was going to bite me right here, because he was breathing on me right here, and I freaked out. I couldn't move. Gee, my heart was pounding. Yeah. So these places still exist. They're here. I see them all the time. Right over here, a little plum Litsooahp'potah called Mitten Mountain. One time we were up there, John Dayrider, Sean Many Shots, Ivory Mills, myself. We were fasting, you went farther up that next day and you went on that ridge. The peak's on this side and the ridge is on this side. And where it comes over, right there, I don't know, some of you might have been there. But there's a stack of rocks, I'd say about this wide. About that wide. Yeah, maybe about this height too, maybe a little lower. Flat rocks, they're put like this. And there's pits, I think 3 of them. Kind of pits in the ground. We were up there, we smoked our pipes up there, and we spent most of the day up there. And we were wondering, I had my back up against this, and I was wondering what they were. All 3 of us were wondering. Then it dawned on me, I know what this is. And I told Sean and Ivory, geez, you know what? All those rocks represent all the people that come to fast here. How many generations is that? It's got to be hundreds of years. Those layers of rocks, they're stacked like this, flat rocks, and they're all scattered all over the place. Yeah. So before we left, each of us took a rock, we smudged it, and we prayed with it. Tonatos. We're here visiting your messengers, sacred mountain. Don't forget, we named ourselves. At the time, it was called Litsooahp'potah. It stops first. Hinita. Not isan this song. We're here to visit, and we put our rock there. So we joined that generation that's been handed down from who knows how long. This way. Not a bundle, but what we earned on our own. Yeah. So our rock is up there. And I'm really proud of that fact. Sad to say, Sean, he passed away a few years ago. But Ivory, he's still around.
Was Darren with you too? Darren?
No, that was a different time. Yeah, that was Heartbeat Mountain, Darren Lime, and Barnabas Tallman. We fasted at Heartbeat. Yeah, that was another experience and a half. Am I on time?
Maybe we'll leave some time for a Q&A, a
Yeah,
question answer.
yeah.
But I'll let you just wrap up.
Yeah, no, I'm done. I just wanted to share some of this. Going back to that book, that our ways are still quite strong. They're quite diluted. They're quite influenced, but they still exist.